Hello, this is Super Smash 43, and I'm going to answer Keane's 20 questions, okay? And yes, now let it begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Keane. I would like to ask you 20 questions. Feel free to post video responses, or you can do it in comments. It's fine with me.
Well, I'm going to do a video response right now. I'm not going to type it up in the comment section, mainly because, I don't want to destroy my delicate fingers too early right now because I don't want carpal tunnel syndrome to develop on me. Well, chances are I'm going to develop carpal tunnel syndrome anyways in another 20 years or so. But whatever, I just want to procrastinate it, alright?
Number one, what is the most dangerous religion in the world?
To be honest, I'm not really sure, but if I were to take a pick on like the major religions in the world, probably Christianity or Islam.
Explain in detail why.
Oh, you want me to explain in detail? Well, let's see. First of all, Christianity and Islam, they have like the largest number of followers in the world, and also the Holy Bible and the Holy Quran, they have some pretty messed up things in it. I know the majority of the believers don't actually follow their holy book like cover to cover, but still it has some crazy messed up absurdities in it. I mean, if you actually believe in an afterlife, right, then you will very likely devaluate this life. Even if the deists say, oh, look, I'm going to treat this life with as much meaning as possible, right, so I can actually have a better afterlife. Still, if you believe that this is the only life you have, then you'll be treating it with much more respect than somebody who believes that death isn't real. Hey, when I die, it's just a transition to another form of life. It lasts for eternity. And if I actually behave well enough, then I'll live forever, right? And yeah, I'm just behaving good so that I could get the carrot on the stick after I, quote unquote, die and then transcend into my next life. Man, just live this life as best as possible. Believe that this is your only life, and then you'll be living this life as best as possible. So basically, anybody who actually believes that there is no afterlife is more likely to actually incline to work harder to make this one and only life that we have much better, okay? Because they're not going to like hope for, oh look, I'm going to have an afterlife.
Number two, what is it about religion that you deem as a threat, or if not at all?
Well, the main thing about religion that I deem as a threat is the whole belief of an afterlife, that this life isn't as important as the life that comes after this. Of course, there is absolutely no evidence for this afterlife, so this entire afterlife concept is a complete delusion, and there's no point working towards one. Instead, why don't we focus and make this one and only life that we are guaranteed to have as good as possible?
Number three, have you suffered any emotional or physical damage due to religion? Or do you know anyone that has?
Personally, I haven't suffered any emotional trauma from religion, or any physical trauma for that matter. And I haven't met anybody who's actually suffered from emotional and physical trauma from religion, although they could have, but they never told me.
Number five, do you as a person have a soul?
The soul thing? Well, I'm not sure. But if you define soul as a bunch of chemical reactions that are working up in your head that causes your like a consciousness, then fine, I have a soul, but I don't think my soul is eternal. And when I die, the soul, it dissipates, right? My consciousness ends. I don't want to go into too much detail, but let's say if reincarnation is true, right? Chances are it still wouldn't really matter because you'll be like a totally different person since you don't have any memories from your past life, right? So basically, the whole reincarnation thing is bunk. They talk about, oh, you have memories from your past life sometimes, and if you try hard enough, you can actually remember your past life memories. Well, I think that stuff is a bunch of pseudoscience. There is no like real credible evidence that anybody could actually remember shit from their past life. I mean, if they could actually remember shit from their past life and it can be verified scientifically, then reincarnation can be verified. But as we have it right now, reincarnation is not really verified, and yeah, therefore there is no any evidence for like an afterlife of any sort.
Number six, where do your morals come from?
That's quite simple. My morals come from common sense and logic, and together they work quite well.
Number seven, atheism means lacking a belief in deities. Do you see it as any more than the definition given?
I really don't see it as any more than the definition given, mainly because I didn't grow up in a religious family, so I don't really have much pride in being an atheist, okay?
Number 8. If you see a non-believer or religious person committing a crime, what do? Now,
Oh, okay, that's quite simple. I'll treat it accordingly to my law, okay? Not necessarily my law, the law of the country that I'm living under, right? And common sense and logic, alright? Everything is based on common sense and logic. I don't give a crap if somebody's religious or not. They are going to be treated accordingly to the law and common sense and logic, okay? Whenever they do something bad. If somebody robs a bank, right? Oh, look, they got a AK-47, right? They're going into the mall and robbing a bank. And recently, around where I live, somebody actually robbed a bank, right? Let's say if I actually encountered this individual, chances are I'm not going to go up to this individual and say, hey, stop robbing the bank, because that person will probably shank or shoot me, right? But I will do the most appropriate thing to get that person caught and delivered to justice.
number 9. Where does love come from and where does it go?
It's quite simple. Love comes from your brain. It's like a chemical reaction, a response to stimuli, right? That actually causes this chemical reaction known as love. And where does it go? It's simply expressed verbally or through any of your other 5 senses, right? And then it goes into somebody else's brain, and then they interpret it as either love or hate or some other kind of emotion, and then they respond back. And it's basically a back and forth feedback relationship.
Number 10. Do you believe you are better than religious people, or vice versa?
No, I don't believe I'm better than religious people, because your religious beliefs don't necessarily denote whether or not you're a good person. There are some atheists who are lying pieces of shit, and there are some religious people who are lying pieces of shit. Yet there are some atheists and religious people who are fairly decent individuals. I wouldn't say I'm the nicest person in the world, but chances are I'm probably closer to the nice side than the dark side, alright? The dark side denoting, oh, somebody who's a complete jackass. I'm definitely a nice person, but I'm not gonna say I'm the nicest person in the world because, well, chances are there are millions of people out there who are nicer than me. But whatever, I'm nicer than the overwhelming majority of the population, or the overwhelming majority of people I've encountered in my life.
What do you believe is the most important thing for yourself as well as the world?
For myself and the world, trying to make the world a better place as good as possible, right? And in order to do that, we had to use common sense and logic and apply it thoroughly, okay? Like, we shouldn't, destroy the environment anymore. We should instill birth control and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, the whole planet is lacking in common sense and logic. So these plans for making humanity better are really, really difficult to implement, which is why I have little hope for the future of humanity. But whatever, I'm going off topic now.
Number 12. What do you see for the future of humanity?
I think I just answered that in my previous question. We are going to destroy ourselves eventually because we lack in common sense and logic. It's really sad because we really have the ability to not destroy ourselves.
Number 13. On a scale from 1 to 10, what do you see as your tolerance level for religious people?
My tolerance towards religious people is quite high. I would say 10 out of 10 because, hey, I don't care about your religious beliefs or lack thereof. What I do care about is whether or not you have a good character based on your actions.
Number 14. Did you make the choice to be a non-believer or religious?
I made the choice to be non-religious. I've been non-religious for the past 6 to 7 years, alright? I wasn't really that religious beforehand, but I'm not going to go into too much detail explaining my religious life. I'm going to do that in some other video.
Number 15. Who is the most important person in your life and why?
I'd probably say my parents. I could say a girlfriend of mine, but I don't really have a girlfriend right now.
Number 16. Have you ever wanted to hurt someone because they didn't agree with you?
Yes, I have. I don't want to go into exact details of this event. I've actually had this situation happen to me several times, but I don't want to go into exact details of these events, alright?
Number 17. Can any form of torture be justified?
That's very easy. Just look at the slaughterhouse industry, alright? Just look at the goddamn meat industry. Torture being motherfucking justified.
Number 18. When is murder, killing, or stealing justified?
Let's say if the entire world was to collapse into a complete anarchy, then it would be justified because everybody is now trying to survive off the minimal amount of resources. Even though we're trying to be as altruistic as possible, even in that kind of situation, we have to do whatever we can in order to survive. In other words, in that kind of situation, stealing, murder, rape, and whatnot can be justified. But under normal circumstances, of course, that kind of shit isn't justified because it hinders the function of society.
Number 19. If you ever made such a horrible mistake that resulted in yourself or someone else dying, who would you choose for it to be and why?
I don't really like blaming other people for mistakes. So, yeah, I don't really like to scapegoat anybody.
Someone has to die in the place of your mistakes.
That's retarded because that sounds like Christianity. I don't like the concept of vicarious redemption. I like to take all of the blame on myself, okay, when I actually make a mistake. However, if it wasn't actually me who's responsible for the mistake, or if it's not entirely my fault, I like to put some of the blame on the appropriate people or individuals who are responsible for the blame.
Who would it be? Number 20. Where do you go when you die? Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, the final question, where do you go after you die? Well, based on all scientific empirical evidence and also philosophical evidence, when you die, you simply die, okay? Even if you get reincarnated, like I already said, you end up as a completely different person, which completely destroys the purpose of reincarnation. So, in order to simplify things, when you die, all your brain chemical reactions end, and if your brain chemical reactions end, your consciousness ends, and it permanently ends forever. You pretty much shut down like a computer. Okay, I have a computer right beside me right now. If I were to smash it into pieces, its cognitive functions will die. That's basically what happens to you as well. You have no more cognitive consciousness, okay, and you die. That's it. Alright, I'm sorry for sounding so gloomy, but that is the actual reality of things. Okay, anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching that video, and I answered every one of those 20 questions quite thoroughly, I believe. Anyways, peace out.